Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel Code for Tech Solutions. Today in this video, we are going to cover one more interesting topic, and our today's topic is build amazing web apps with Angularity in Python and MariaDB. In this comprehensive tutorial, I will show you how to build a full stack web application using the powerful combination of technologies like Angularity in Python and MariaDB. This is going to be a complete tutorial in which I am going to show you how to create this amazing web app step by step. One more best thing about today's video is that we are going to use latest and most trending technologies with latest versions. And I am sure that by the end of this tutorial, you will have a solid foundation in full stack development and you will be ready to start building your own projects using Angular, Python and MariaDB. And these are some prerequisites which we are going to use to create this full stack application. As an editor, we are going to use VS Code. For front-end technologies, we are going to use Angular 18 plus, Node, NPM and Material 18 plus version. Next, for the backend development, we are going to use Python and we are going to use Django and Django REST framework for backend application development. And we are going to use MySQL client, which is a Python library to connect with our MariaDB database. And as a database, we are going to use MariaDB and we are going to use Hedi SQL, which is the database management tool for MariaDB. So this is about all the prerequisites which we are going to use to build this full stack application. And these are some points which we are going to implement in sequence. Like first we will see our architecture diagram. Next I will show you small user interface demo. Next we are going to create our database using MariaDB. We will create our backend application using Python Django framework. And these are some steps or points which we are going to implement in sequence. Finally, we will create our Angular application using engine new command, which will create our Angular standalone application. And these are some points which we are going to implement in sequence. And this is what we are going to build today. It's a complete architecture of inventory system in which on the front end side we are going to create inventory underscore web, which is the front end application we are going to build using Angular 18. In that we are going to use Angular material library and HTTP client. With the help of Angular material library, we are going to integrate our front end application with the REST backend REST APIs, and we are also going to implement some advanced functionalities like searching, sorting, pagination with the help of this Angular material library. Apart from that, we are going to use HTTP client to connect with our backend REST APIs. This is about the front-end application which we are going to create using Angular 18. Our front-end application will interact with our backend application, which is inventory underscore service, which we are going to implement using Python language. And in that we are going to use Django and Django REST framework. These are the web framework we are going to use to create this backend application. And we are going to implement our CRUD operations and APIs inside this backend application, and we are going to test all those using Django REST framework user interface. And to connect with our MariaDB database, we are going to use MySQL client, which is a Python library through which we are going to interact with MariaDB database and perform all the CRUD operations. And as a database, we are going to use MariaDB as a database. So this is about all the subsystems which are involved in our overall architecture, and we are going to build it from scratch. Now let me show you a small demo of user interface, how our application will look like. So this is the user interface, this is the header section, and these are some controls to enter the name, category and price. And this is the add button and cancel button. We are going to use add button to create inventory items as well as to update it. And this is the search filter through which we are going to filter out the inventory data or table data. And this is the header section, and these are some table data along with some action buttons like edit and delete. And below this table we have this pagination section. So let us add one entry at here. Now we can add headphones, which comes under category of electronics, and we can enter some price. Let's say it's a 95, and we can add. So we can see the item is successfully added as in last entry. Now this is about how we can add any item to our existing inventory list. Similar way, if you want to edit any record, let's say this is the for laptop, and here once we click on edit button, the record will get updated at here, will get populated at here. Now this is the first entry, which is for laptop. We can modify it to mobile, and we can say it's electronics category, and we can modify the price. Let's say it's a 215, and we can click on add button, and we can see the record is successfully updated with the help of this edit and add button. Now similar way, if you want to delete any record, let's say this is the seventh record, it is for office chair. If we want to delete this, we can simply click on delete button. Once we confirm by clicking OK button, the record will get deleted. So this is about all the CRUD operations we are going to implement from scratch. Similar way, this is the search filter through which we are going to filter out our table data. Let's say we can search for coffee maker, or for printer, or for, let's say, gaming. So this is for individual items we can search for, or we can search for electronics, or we can say for furniture. With this, like, our filter will work for grouping the list of set of objects, or for individual atoms. Similar way, we are going to implement the sorting functionality. Like, this is our table, and here if we click on this, like, it will sort the data in ascending and descending order. This is for inventory ID, this is for name, and this is for category. Now this is the pagination section. Now here per page it is showing the 4 records. Okay. Now once we click on the next page, it will take us to the next page. Now we have only 2 page. Now this is the last page for us, and once we reach the last page, the next and last page will get disabled, which is as expected. Similar way, if we click on previous page, it will take us to the previous 4 atoms or previous page. Now we can control the number of atoms from here. If we click on if you want to show 8 atoms per page, or this is the 4 atoms per page. And once we click on last page, it will take us to the last, and once we click on first page, it will take us to the first page. This is about all the CRUD operations, as well as searching, sorting, pagination, all these important functionalities which we are going to implement from scratch. So I will request you all to please watch this from start to end, so that you will not miss anything in between. I have built several full stack projects using different tech stacks, and each one offers something unique. Don't forget to check out the rest of the videos in this series, and hit subscribe to follow along with new updates. Create our backend application using Python Django, and these are some points which we are going to implement in sequence. Now this is our project folder. Let us open the command prompt, and we can use this command to open the Visual Studio Code. Here we can open the new terminal, and here first of all we can create one virtual environment using command python -m venv, and here we can give our virtual environment name. And we can see this virtual environment folder is created with all the default files like include, lib, and scripts. Whatever libraries we install, project specific libraries, that will go inside this lib folder. Now once it is created, we need to activate it. Virtual environment, we need to activate it. For that, what we can do, we first need to go to our virtual environment. Next we need to go inside scripts, and after that we can use this activate command. Now we can see the virtual environment prompt is appearing. That means it is activated. Now next thing what we can do, we need to install the dependencies or libraries which we require. So first we require a Django, next we require Django REST framework, and we require a MySQL client for MariaDB. So this is MySQL client is a Python library we can use for MySQL database as well as MariaDB database. So let us install this, and then we can check the install the libraries inside this lib folder. We can check the installed libraries using the piplist command as well. Yes, now it is complete. You can use piplist command so that it will show all the installed libraries. Like this is the Django framework, this is Django REST framework, and this is the MySQL client, which is a Python library with which we are going to connect with MariaDB database. So this is about all the libraries, required libraries we have installed. So you know, like Django and Django REST framework, these are the web framework, like which will help us to create web application in Python, and it will help us to create and build the REST API. Okay, next thing, we can create our Python application using the Django framework. So we can use a Python project we are going to create. So for that we can use this command django admin, and we can say start project, and after that we can give our project name, which is inventory underscore, we can say service. So we can see this inventory underscore service Python project is created successfully with all the default files and folders including manage.py. Next thing what we can do, like we need to create one application inside this project folder. So let us go to inventory service folder, and inside that we can create one application using command python manage.py, and we can say start app, and here we can give our application name, which is API. So this is the application with name API, wherein we are going to keep all our REST APIs. Okay, so let us configure the database and the rest of the things inside this settings.python file. So first thing what we can do, like we need to first configure our REST framework library, which we have just installed. Next thing, like we need to add our application name, which is API. Next, like this is the database configuration. You can see by default it is using SQLite 3. So let us point it to MySQL client. MySQL, it's an engine we need to use for MySQL database, and MariaDB, it is using the MySQL engine. Now, first we need to create one database. So for that reason, let us create one database. So here we are going to use Hedi SQL, which is a database management tool for MariaDB, which will allow us to create database and manage the database. Now here we can open the session, and these are some existing databases we have created. Now let us create one new database. For that we can right click on this session one, and here is the option like create new, and it will allow to create a new database. Like here we can name our database, let's say inventory master, and we can click on OK. Now this is our database we have created. Now here we need to mention that database name, it here, which is inventory master. Next thing, we need to add a user, and whatever user you have set you need to add. Next we need to add password. You can check with your username and password and enter the exact username and password. Next we can add host, which is local host, and finally we need to add port, and for the port we are using, like let us check what port we are using. Let us go to properties, connection property, and this is the connection port 3308. Let us add the same port here, which is 3308. With this, we are done with our database configuration for MariaDB inside Python application. Now, next thing what we can do, we need to create one model. So for that, here we can create our model class, and here we can say our model is inventory, and here we can use models dot like model, and here we can use what all things we are going to use as a properties. Like here we can use models dot char field, and here we can use max length, let's say 100 or 150 as per your requirement. You can choose. Next thing, like here we can mention after name it's a category, and here we can use models dot char field again, and same like max field, max length we can use 150, and after that we can use price, which is type like it's an integer field. So these many fields we are going to use. Now we can add one more thing, like so here we can use class meta. Now here what we can do, like if we have not mentioned a table name, it will create, Python application will create a table automatically for us. Instead of that, we can mention what table name, so what table we want to be created. So here we can mention that table name, and ours is like inventory. So this table it should create. Okay, fine. Now next thing, we can create the string interpretation definition with this one, and here we can return our object self dot name. That's it. So we are done with our model class. Like here what we have done, we have created our model with name inventory, and these are some fields like name, category, and price, and we have mentioned what table name we want to use for our table, like inside this database. Now, and this is the string interpretation. Like we are done with our model with this. Next thing, we need to create one serializer. So for that we can create one file like serializers dot python file, and here we can use our REST framework, and we can import serializer. Next we need to import our model, which is inventory in our case. Now here we can create one class for serializer, like it's inventory, we can say inventory serializer, and here we can use serializers dot, we can say it's a model serializer. Here we can mention like class meta, and here we can mention what is the model we are going to use, and in our case it's an inventory, and what all fields we are going to use as a part of serialization. We can mention all for now, or you can mention specific field if you want. So we are done with our serializer. We have created inventory serializer successfully, and herein we are going to use model serializer. The purpose of this inventory class is to convert our inventory like model instance into the JSON format. Like inventory is our model, to convert to JSON format we need serializer. For that reason we have created this. Now we are done with our serializer creation. Next thing, we can create a view. So before we create a view, let us do the migration part, so that it will create a database related schema on the backend side. So we can use this command python manage.py, and here we can use make migrations. Now here it will create the files, prepare the file for the creating the database schema on the backend side. Now to complete the migration part, we need to execute one more command, like this is the python manage.py migrate, so that the migration will get successful. Now we can see these are tables, it has created successfully. Now if we go back to our table, so this is the inventory master, and if we refresh this, so it will show all the tables which it has created along with this inventory which we have just created. Right now it is not showing any column and all, so after few seconds it will show after few seconds. Okay, fine. So we have successfully migrated our like a database model into the database. So and the table it will create based on how we have designed the model. So accordingly it will create the table columns and all. Okay, fine. Now next thing what we can do, we need to create our views. So for that reason here we can create our views. Now we can use the REST framework, and we need to import a view set from this. And next we are going to use models, and we are going to import our inventory model. Next, from serializer we are going to import our inventory serializer, and here we can create one class for our inventory. We can use this name inventory view set, and here we can use view sets dot, we can use model view set, and here we can use query set as an, we can use inventory, on that we can call objects, and we can call all methods. Next thing, like serializer class, we need to mention what is our serializer class. It's an inventory serializer. That's it. So we are done with view creation. So to create a view in using Python Django REST framework, we have various options. Like we can go for class-based view, function-based view, API view, custom, and mixing. So we have chosen like a model view set or view set. This is the option because this is the most recommended and popular option whenever we are using the Python Django REST framework combination. So and the one more benefit of using this model view set is that like it will create automatic actions for retrieve, update, create, and delete CRUD operations, CRUD actions. So we don't need to write much boilerplate code for that. Okay, so we are done with our view creation. Now next thing, we need to create create and configure the URLs. So first we can create our application level URLs. So here we can use Django frameworks URLs, and we are going to import the path and include. Next, like we are going to use REST framework dot routers, and we are going to import default routers. Next, like we are going to use views, and what is our view? It's a inventory view set. Next, like we need to create our router, and what is router we are going to use, that is the default router. Next thing, we need to register our view set with the router. So for that reason we can use this, and here we can mention our endpoint, which is inventory, and here we can mention our view set, which is inventory view set. And finally we can add URL patterns. Inside this array we can mention what is the path, and this is the path like API slash, and we can add include, and we can use the router dot URLs. That's it. So this is about application URLs. We are done with what we have done. So we are using the Django URLs, and here we are using the default router so that it will map the path with the URLs, and we are using the inventory view set. Now we have created default router, and next we have registered our inventory view set with this router, so that it will map the path with the router. And next we have uh, created our URL patterns with this path. Okay, fine. So this is for application URLs. Similar way we need to configure for our project URL. So here we need to include our application URL inside the project URLs. Can copy and add this path, and here we can mention, like we can keep this blank, and here we need to add include. Here we can mention api.urls. That's it. We need to add import for this include it here, and we can save it. Now with this we are done with our URL configuration. Now the final thing, we can run our application. Before that, you can save all the files which you have modified. Okay, now let us run our application using command python manage.py, and we can use run server command. Now we can see our application is it has started the development server on this URL. We can click on this URL. Now here to form the URLs, let us go to project URLs, which is referring this application URL, and inside this, like our path will start with API, and after that we are going to use inventory. So let us add the same path, like this is the API, and after that we are going to use inventory. Or so instead of inventory, so we can make, okay, so here we can use inventories. Seems good. Now we need to save it, and here we can use this. Okay, seems good. Now this is the Django REST framework user interface. It will provide the options so that we can perform the CRUD operations for our like for our application. Now this is the user interface. It is showing the empty list because we do not have any data as of now. Now let us check the database. It should show the table. Now here we can run this. So this is our inventory, and we can refresh it. So this is the inventory table. Okay, now it is showing name, category, and price. Seems good. Now let us create one entry at here. So we can use like, let's say first is a laptop, category we can say electronics, and price we can say $899. So first entry is successfully created with ID 1. This is for laptop. Similar way we can add one more entry, like we can say it's a mouse. It is again the electronics, or we can say it's a wireless mouse, and here price we can mention like, let's say 29. Seems good. Now we have created 2 records. Let us create 1 record, and we can check for other operations. Now we can add one headphone. Headphone is again coming under electronics. So let us add something new, which is like, let's say office chair. We can add office chair, which is coming under furniture. And here we can mention some price, let's say 159. We can create. So we have created 3 records. So now let us check the inventory list, and these are some different three different records we have created. Now to fetch the particular record for the id, we can simply pass the id at here and it will fetch the particular record. Okay, and along with that it will populate these controls like for name, category and price. What value is there for name and category and price, it will get populated at here. So this is about fetching by id. Now here we can see if we want to modify it, like instead of a picture we can say it's a coffee maker, and here instead of furniture we can say appliances, and we can change the price, let us say somewhere $80, and we can modify. Now we can see it has successfully modified. Now let us check. So we have three records and the last record we have just modified. So this is about the updation or edit part we are done with. Now similar way, if you want to delete any record, so we first need to fetch that record from here, and after that we can click on this delete button. You can see once we click on delete, it will ask for the confirmation. Once we click on delete button, the record will get deleted. Now let us check the list again. Now we have two records because the third one we have just deleted. Now let us check into the database, let us refresh it again. It should show two records. Now here we can say it's an inventory. Yes, we can see it is showing two records successfully. Seems good. With this, we are done with all our CRUD operations. We have just tested our RESTful REST APIs using Django REST framework user interface. Now, next thing what we can do, like for the front end side, we are going to use Angular 18, and our Angular application will connect with our backend application. So our backend Python application may show uh, course origin issues. So just to avoid that, we need to install there is a library available in Python. We can use that. So here we can install the library using pip command. Like the library name is like Django course headers. So this is the library we need to install. So here we need to add some hyphen. Next thing, like we need to first let it install. Yes, we can see we can cross check using piplist command, and we can see this library is installed successfully. Now let us configure it into our settings.python file. Now here we need to add one entry for like course headers. Next thing, this is inside installed apps. Similar way we need to add one entry inside this middleware, like we can say course headers dot middleware dot, we can say course middleware. So this is the middleware entry we have added. One more thing we need to add to enable the course course origin. So here we need to add like course allowed origins, and here we can mention inside this array what all URLs we are going to allow. Like our Angular URL we need to mention, like which is localhost 4200. That's it. With this we are done with our course installation, course headers, so that we will not face any course origin issue when we will try to connect our Angular application with backend Python application. What all things we have done? We have installed this Django course headers, which is a library available in Python. Next we have added this course headers entry inside this installed apps. We have added this entry inside this middleware, and we have added this course allowed origin entry, so that our Angular application will interact with our Python backend application without any issue. Now let us create our Angular front-end application. Now in one terminal our Python application is running. Now let us create one more terminal, and here we are going to create our Angular application. So we can use command ng new, and here we can give our application name, front-end application name, which is inventory underscore web. And as we are going to use Angular 18, it will create an Angular standalone application. Here we can use CSS, and next, like for server side rendering, we can say no. Now it has started installing the packages. We can wait for few seconds. You can see our application is successfully created. Now let us go to our project folder, and we can run our application using command ng -o. So this command will launch our application into the browser. Here we can type y for this, and you can see inventory underscore web folder is created in the left pane with all the default files and folders. And this is our package.json, and inside this dependency we have all the libraries. Now this is the URL, localhost 4200. We can open it into the browser. Now we can see our Angular application is running fine. So we have successfully created our Angular application, and it is running on localhost 4200. Now we can see our Angular application is running on some different port, and our backend application is running on some different port. In real practice also, it may be running on different host and port numbers. Now in order to communicate, in order to make a communication in between these two, so we need to create a proxy for configuration. So for that we can go to src folder, and here we can create our proxy configuration, and this file we can create. Inside that we can mention, like, this is a path /API, and for that we are going to mention what is the target, and the target file we can mention, like, it's a, we can copy this backend target file, target URL. Next, like, we can use secure as a false. So what we have done for proxy config, we have mentioned the path, and this is the target URL for backend application, and secure as false we have mentioned. Next thing, like, we need to make an entry into our angular.json file. So we can go to serve, and here we can add, inside options we can make proxy config, and here we can mention our proxy config file name, proxy.config.json, and we can save it. With this, we have successfully created proxy configuration for our Angular application, so that our Angular application will connect with the backend application successfully. Now next thing, in real practice we can see we are dealing with different environments, like development, production, and staging, and or even testing as well. So each environment will be having its different configuration. So in order to maintain all these different configuration, our application should be should incorporate all those configuration in our application. So for that, what we can do, like, let us create the configuration part in Angular application. So for that we can use this ng generate environment command. It will create different environment for our application, so that we can maintain different configuration for different environment in our Angular application. Now this is, you can see it has created environment successfully. This is the development environment, and this is the default environment. Default environment is by default pointing to the production, and we can make it as a true. Next thing, like, here we can use one more thing. So this is production as a true. After that we can add comma. Next we can use API URL, and here we can mention our front end URL or here as it is a production, so we need to mention our production URL, like let's say myapp.prod.com. so let's say this is the production URL for now. Let us assume this. You can enter your real production URL at here. Now I will comment it out. So this is for production URL. Similar way we need to mention for development environment. Now here, as it is a development environment, obviously production is a false, and here for API URL we need to add our development URL with development host and port. Now right now we are going to point our development environment to our local host. Let's say localhost 4200, and we can save it. Now we need to do one more thing, we need to go to our angular.json file, and here there is a configuration section for environment. This is the configuration section, and this is for production, and this is for development. Now similar way, if you want to create one more environment, we can copy this part, and below this we can add that new environment. Like let's say if we want to add staging or testing, we can add below this, and here this is the default environment. We need to replace with our target environment file. Let's say if we want to create the testing environment, we can use this testing environment testing file, so that our default file will get replaced with our target environment. Okay, now here by default it is using the configuration for production, and we need to make it point to our development environment, because localhost 4200 path we have given into the development environment. Now this is for default configuration, so here it should be development. There should not be any spelling mistake. Okay, now next thing, we are done with our configuration part, and here is sir, and we can see we have successfully configured the proxy config, and these are some configuration for this is production and this is the development. Similar way, if we have any other development environment, any other environment, we can add one more entry at here. With this we are done with our environment setting, like we have created development and production environment for now. Now next thing what we can do, let us create the component which are required for our application. So we can use command ng generate, and first we can create one module with name, like it's for inventory. So this module we can create. Now you can see this inventory module is created successfully. Next thing, we can create one service inside this inventory module, and here we can give our service name as a inventory itself. Now we can see our service is created. Now next component we can generate, it's a component we are going to generate using this ng generate component. Inside inventory module we are going to generate our home component, and we can use this as a standalone. Now this is the home component, wherein we are going to show most of our controls and most of the functionalities like CRUD operations, and we are going to create a table using Angular material table, and we are going to perform searching, sorting, pagination. In that sense, most of our functionality and controls we are going to show on home page. Now we can see the home component is created, and each component has its own CSS file, HTML file, test file, and TS file. Okay, so finally we can create our interface with name inventory itself, and it's a interface. So instead of component we can use interface. Now we can see inventory is created, interface. Now what all things we have done to generate all the required component. First of all, we have generated our inventory module. Inside that we have created one service. After that we have created component with name home, and finally we have created our interface with name inventory. Now let us add the required properties inside this. Like we first require the ID, next we require a name. Let's say it's a string. So let us check our module inside API what all properties we are going to use. Category, name, category, price. So this is our interface name. After that we can add category, which is again string, and after that we can add price, which is a number, and we can save it. So we have defined all the properties which we are going to use inside this inventory interface. Now next thing, like let us create our routing logic. So this is our route. Now let me show you the application entry point. So this is our application entry point from where our application will get bootstrapped, and this is the main.ts file, and this file this will use application component and app config. So inside application component we can see we are going to generate this home.html, app.component.html, and this is the app.component.html where it is showing all this text. Okay, now here if you search for, and this is the text it is showing. Okay, and if you see here, and with this router outlet it is showing our home component, home.html. Now this is our application flow. Now let us add the routes inside this. Like here we can add our path, and what is the path we are going to use, like it's a inventory. So let us check what endpoint we are using for this. It's a inventories. We can copy it, and same path we can mention it here, inventories slash home, and here for component we can give our home component. We can add one more entry. Let's say if it's just the inventory, then we need to redirect to, and here we can add this path so that it will redirect to the home, and finally we can add path match, which is a full. And here in case of empty address, we are going to redirect to the home page. So this is about navigation, route navigation. We have configured like if our path is starting with inventories home, then it should generate the home component. If we have inventories as a path, it should redirect to the home, and in case of empty path also it should redirect to the home. Seems good. Now let us go to our app.component.html, and here we can clear everything from here, and we can add our router outlet so that it will show the home page to us. Let us save it. Now let us keep our application running. We can use this ng-ser-o. Make sure you have saved all the changes. Now we can see it is showing the home works, and if we go to home.component.html, and this is the output, it is showing it here. That means our route is working fine. Now next thing, let us generate the home page. So here we can add one menu, like it's a class, we can say it's a inventory container, and for that we can add some style, let's say width 778 pixel, and we can add some margin top, let's say 20 pixel, and let us add some margin left, let's say 30 pixel, and inside that we can add one header, let's say h5, and here we can give some meaningful header like it's a full stack web app with Angular 18, you can say Python, Django, and it's a MariaDB, and we can save it. Seems good. Let us add some style. We can add some color, and after that we can add font weight as a bold, and we can save it. Seems good. Now next thing, let us create the Angular controls. So for that, first thing we need to do, like we need to add our Angular material library to our application. So let us do that. We can go to our Angular project folder first, and here we can use ng add, and we want to add our Angular material library, so we can use this command. Yes, we can type y to proceed. Now once it is installed, we can see that inside our package.json file. So here we can see Angular material entry is already showing. Now here it will ask for the theme, like we can go with the default theme which is azure blue, and here for typography we can say S, and include and enable animations. Yes. Now it will complete the installation for our Angular material. Now let us add some import some Angular material libraries, like we are going to use mat form field module, and that is we are going to take from Angular material, and here we can use form field. Here we can use mat input field, we can say input, and next we are going to use like icon, and this is for icon. Similar way we can add one more entry for button. So all these form controls we are going to use. So let us first add import for all these, and this is for button. Now we need to add these modules inside our import list. So let us add one by one. So this is for form field, This is for, sorry, not it here. Okay, so here we need to add. So we have imported all these fields which are required to create a home page. Now here let us use that. Like first we can use our mat form field, and here we can add some style. Let's say width 175 pixel. Next height we can mention, like let's say 63 pixel, and here we can use one input text. This is for name. ID we can give same like name, and we can add some placeholder, like we can say enter name. And this is not the normal input, we can use like mat input for this one. Now after that we can use like mat icon, and for this we can use font icon, and here we can use person, and we want to show this person icon after the text box, so we can use mat suffix and we can save it. Now it is showing the icon. Now let us rerun our application so that it will show the Angular material controls in a proper way. Now this is for name, we can copy. Similar way we can add one for category and one for price. So let us add category it here, and same we can copy, and here for category let us check if we have any icon for this one. Next we have price, and we can copy the price, and here for price we can use dollar sign, so we can use monetization on for this one, and we can save it. Now here let us add some margin left, and here we can add some 15 pixel. Same for this text. Now here it should show category, so we can increase some width, let's say 77, seems good. Now we have name, control, category, and here is our price. So what next, we can add one button. After we can add one button next to that, and here in Angular material we can have various options, like we can use matte pad button or matte raised button, and we have number of options. We can choose matte flat button, and here we can give our button name as a add. So let us add some style. You can say height we can use auto, and width we can use auto, and we can add some background color. and we can use some purple color, and we can save it. So we can use width as a 63 pixel. Now here height and width we do not need to mention, only color is fine. Seems good, it is showing. Now let us add some margin left. We can copy and add it here. Now let us add 25 pixel as a margin left. Now this is for add button. Now we can see seems good. Now here similar way we can add one cancel button next to that, and here for margin left we can mention, let's say 15 pixel, and for color we can use some red color as it is a cancel button. We can use red button, red color. Now it seems good, it is showing as expected. Now next thing, below this we can add one search control. Like for search filter we need to add one more text box, so we can add it here, and this is for search input. So we can add it here, and here we can say enter inventory, search inventory, we can say search inventory, and here we can use search icon and we can save it. Now we want to, we can remove this margin left which is not needed, so we can remove it. Seems good. Now let us increase this width. Let us make 80 pixel and check. Inventory 83 or 85, 87. Inventory, this spelling it should show. Let us make it 90. Fine, now it seems good. Now we have these form controls for name, category, price, add button, cancel button, and this is for search inventory. Now we have everything is in place. Now let us create the table. To create a table we need to open one tab, and here we can search for Angular material table, and this is our material table. Let us copy this URL and we can use somewhere it here. Now here you can see we have different table format set here using Angular material. We can click on view code, and here you can see the table like table tab is here. This tag you can copy as is, and we can add into our code. Now below this we can add one line break, and after that we can add this table. Now next thing, to generate the table we require the columns and data, so we can copy this for columns and data and let us add into our TS file. So this is our TS file, we can add, and this display, this is for showing the columns, and this is for data. Now for data we are going to use like mat table data source, and which is taking the data of product type, and we can initialize this data source. Now let us add import for this one, mat table data source, so we need to add import for. Now we can add import mat table data source, and we can use mat table module as well, and we are going to import from our like Angular material table. For this mat table module, we need to add this into our import list so that we can make use of that. For this product, we can add, it's not product, it should be inventory, because we are using inventory, and we can save it. It is still reloading. Now you can see it is showing the column headers like the number, name, weight, and symbol. Seems good, it is showing as expected. Now it is, we have just copied these labels, so we want to use our own label which are as per our requirement. So this is the ID, name as is, and here we are going to use category, and here we can use price, and we can save it. Now it is not showing because similar way what all headers we have used there, for this mat column dep we need to use the same column names, like this is for name, this is for category, and this is for price, and this is the label it will get shown, like it's for inventory ID we can use, and here we can use ID, this is for name, and this is for category we can say, and here we can use category. Similar way this is for price, here we can use price, and we can save it. Seems good. Now it is showing the headers as per our requirement. Seems good. Now next thing, like this element, let us create one inventory constant which will hold the inventory data. So we can use this inventory which is of type inventory interface, and here we can initialize this inventory with some data. Let's say ID is equal to 0. Next, name, it's blank. Next we can use category which is again blank, and finally we have price. For price we can say 0, and we can save it. Fine. Now we have this inventory which will hold the individual inventory. Similar way, if you want to we need to create one more constant which will hold the list of inventory or array of inventories, and here this is the array of inventory, and we can initialize it with some empty array, and we can save it. Fine. Now this inventory we can use in our HTML, so instead of element we can use inventory. So which is a more readable. Seems good. Now next thing, instead of row we can use our inventories which will hold the list of inventory, and we can save it. Now we have our column headers. Similar way we need to generate the data. So for that we need to write one API, get API, so that it will fetch, it will retrieve the data from the backend with the get API. So for that, like in our Angular 18, as we are using that, so we can go to our main.ts file, and here we can see all the configuration we need to mention it here. And for writing the REST APIs in on the front end side, we are going to use our HTTP client. So to use the HTTP client, we need to mention the provider it here, like provide HTTP client. We need to make an entry of, so that we can use our HTTP client in our service method. Now let us go to our service method, and here we can use our we can create one service variable as an HTTP client which is of type HTTP client. Now here next thing we can use like let's say we can create one base URL which is of type string, and we can initialize it with let's say API slash inventories. Now let us create our get API, like we can say get inventories, and it's observable which will be returning in inventory array, and here we can return like this dot HTTP client, and on this we can call get method, and this get method will return the inventory array. And here we need to pass inside backtick, like we need to use form the URL. So to form our URL, we need to import our inventory like environment variable first. So we are going to use HTTP localhost 4200, which we have mentioned inside development environment. We can copy it, and inside this backtick we can use dollar. This is the environment dot API URL we can use, and this is API URL means it is localhost 4200 we are using. Now next thing we can use, like after that we are going to mention our base URL which is API slash inventories. So we can use this dot base URL. That's it. It should return all the inventories available in the table from the backend application. Now we have created the get API, but we have not given a call as of now. So let us give one call to that. For that we need to implement like after few unit, and here we need to provide ng after few unit method. Now here we can create one constructor. Inside that we can initialize our method which is a inventory service, and here we can use this is the inventory service. Now here we can call this dot inventory service dot we can call our get inventories method, and we can subscribe to this, and here we will get a callback data. For that here we can assign this return data to our local inventories, like we can say data, and we can save it. Now it is still not showing data, because let us go to table, and for generating a table we are using data source. Okay, so we need to populate the data source. So we can copy this part, and here we can use it here like this dot data source, and here we need to pass this return the data to the data source, so that it will generate the data source inside table. Seems good. Now it is showing all the records which is as expected. Now let me open the table EDSQL. Now it is showing the table data as expected. Now let us add some small CSS part so that it will look good. Now I have some CSS. From here we can copy these few lines, and we can add to our style.css, and we can save it. Seems good. Now we can see it is showing some CSS which we have applied. Now this is for header. Now we can see for header row we have applied this color, and height is this much, and for row this is the height 30 pixel, and for every even child we have applied this color. Seems good. Now this many small CSS we have applied. Now let us go to our okay, so we have opened this database. Now let us open this. Now we have this inventory table, and we can check the data inside that. So we have only two records. Seems good. Now our get API is working fine. Now what next we can do, like we can for to implement our add functionality, this add button we are going to use for creating an inventory as well as updating an inventory. So before we go for add functionality, whatever text we enter it here, so that we need to capture in some constant. Okay, so let us do that. Like here we can import, like we can say form modules, and next we can import our common module. Let us add these two modules it here. Inside import list, and we can save it. Now next thing we can do, like let us go to our fields, like this is for name. Here we can add this ng model, and for this model we are going to assign our inventory dot name, because this is for name, so we have added this inventory. We can copy it, and same we can use it here. Now let us save this ts file. Here there is a spelling mistake. We can use inventory model, and we can save it. Now similar way, this is for name, we can add for category, and we can add for price as well, and this is for price, and we can save it. Now this is the price which is showing just number. Let us add some dollar sign for this price. So the table data we are showing it here. Now we can use it here. We can use like currency as an USD, and we can say it's a symbol. So this pipe we can use single pipe. Currency, it should be currency. Seems good. We can save it. Now we can see it is showing the dollar sign. Okay, fine. Next thing here, now whatever text we enter at this form control, it will show. Now it is showing the 0. Instead of that, it should show the blank. So let us add that. Hit here, we have this price as a 0. Instead of that, we can define one price local variable, and here which is of, we can say any, we can assign it with undefined, and here we can use this dot price. Seems good. Now whenever we enter some name, category and price and click on add button, it should add create the inventory for us. So let us add that code. This is our HTML. Now here we can add click functionality, and here we can say handle add and like let's say handle create and update inventory, and here we can pass our inventory which we want to create. Now for this we need to write one constant function inside this ts. Let us add that, and here we have the data, either it is a new data or modified data which is of type inventory. Now first we need to create one post method inside the service, so let us create that. Now here we can copy this get API, and here we can say create inventory. We can remove this part. This is the create inventory, and we are going to call post method on this, which will return a single inventory, and here we need to pass the data, like data which is of inventory array. Now not just a single inventory we want to create, so this data we need to pass it here. After comma we can pass this data, and we can save it. That's it about create inventory. Now we need to call this create inventory from here, like you can call this dot inventory service, and on that we can use create inventory, and for that we can pass the data, and we can call subscribe. For this we can use next. For next we have data as a callback, and we can log the data with, like you can say new inventory created successfully, and after that just to avoid our refresh we can say window dot location dot reload, and here to complete that we can add some error related scenario as well, and this is the error. In case of error we are going to log the error, and we can save it. Now this is for handle and edit update inventory. So we have just written our create inventory part. Now what we can do, it should be conditional, like if data dot id is not equal to 0, that means it has id is not equal to 0, that means it has some id, we should update the inventory, or else id is a 0, that means we need to create an inventory, and this logic we need to paste it here, like this is for create inventory, and we can save it. Now let us check how it works. Like we have one inventory like laptop, wireless. Now here we can add one, let's say office chair, and category we can say it's a furniture, and price we can say uh, $75, and we can add. Now it is not getting added. Let us check. So this is the console. Here we can add one as it's a office chair, and for here we can add furniture, price $75, and we can add localhost 4000 API inventory. So here we need to add end with some slash. So the URL we are forming inside service, we need to end with slash, and we can save it. Now let us check how it works. So this is the name. We can say office chair, and here this is for furniture, and we can add some price $75. Seems good. We can see one entry successfully added. Now if you want to cross check into the database, we can refresh it. Seems good. This is the entry we have just added. So this is about how we can create inventory using the post method. Now next thing, we can create the update method. So to create update method, before that we need to add the edit and delete action buttons. So let us add that. Now first of all, we can go to where we are showing the columns. So this is the displayed column. Here we need to add one more entry, one for edit and one for delete. And similar way inside HTML, we can add, like, this is for the last price column. We can copy this, and after that we can add, this is the edit column, this is the edit, and this is for delete. You can say this is for delete. Now here we can use, this is edit, and for edit we are going to show the button, and which is a matte flat button, and here we can say edit label. For this style we can add background color as is, like we can say 6200, and we can say save it. This is for edit. Now here for this edit button, let us add some background color, like height we can add, let's say 27 pixel, and we can save it. Seems good. Now similar way, we can add one button for delete. So we can copy it, and here we can add the delete, and this is for delete. Background color we can use red, and this is label we need to use as a delete. Let us check now. Seems good. This is for edit and this is for delete. Now width we can add as an auto, and we can save it. Now we can see it is seems good. Now once we click on edit button, it should populate the record into these controls, respective controls. So this is the edit, and here we can add our on click functionality, and here we can say set inventories, and for this set inventory we can say set inventory, and here we are going to pass the inventory. Now here this is the inventory we are using for this, like this is the inventory, same inventory we are passing for the row, and we need to define one constant function as an set inventory. Now this function adds it here. Now we can use set inventory, and this is the inventory which is of type inventory. Now here we can set this dot inventory. This is our local constant variable. We can use id, For this we can use this password ID. Similar way we can use, now we can copy it, add. So this is for name, this is for category, and this is for our price. And we can save it. Now let us check. So once we click on edit button, it should get populated here. Let us save it. So it is not saved. Seems good. This is for office chair, this is for wireless mouse, this is for laptop. Now once we click on edit button, that row entries will get populated it here. Now once we modify it here and click on add button, it should modify the record. For that we can go to our TS file, and this is our create inventory logic or method. So we can copy this and add it here, update inventory. For this, here we need to create one update inventory method inside our service. So let us do that. This is for create inventory. Similar way we can create one update inventory, and this is the modified data we are going to pass. And here on HTTP we are either we can use patch method or put method. We can use put method, which will return the inventory object. And next, like here, this is the URL we can form, and after that we need to pass like our data.id. Against this id we are going to update this modified data. Okay, and we are going to use http put method for that. Seems good. Now let us call this method from our http home.component.ts. so this is the update section. Here we can use update method, which we have just created, update inventory, and this is the modified data we are going to pass. And here we can say inventory updated successfully. That's it. We can save it. Now let us check how it works. Now this is for office chair. So instead of office chair we can modify it to let's say coffee maker, and here category we can say appliances, and here we can use 100, like let's say $150 we can add. Okay, so let us check. So here, so this is our service.ts, and for this, like, we need to end it with slash and check. Now this is the OP chair. Instead of that we can use some, like let's say printer paper, which is of type, we can say office supplies, and here we can say $100, and we can add. Now we can see the record is successfully modified with our update inventory method. Now let us cross check into the database. We can simply refresh it. Seems good. Now let us update this record as well to just confirm. Now here instead of mouse we can use one desk lamp, and for this we can use furniture, and here we can say $120, and we can add. Yes, it is successfully updated. Seems good. With this we are done with our update method. Now let us work on this delete functionality. So once we click on delete button, it should delete the inventory. So this is the click functionality for edit. We can copy it, and here we can use the method like delete inventory, and we are passing the inventory dot id is enough to just delete. That's it. Now here we can copy this, and we need to provide one constant functionality for this one. Now let us use this delete inventory, and here for this id is enough, and first we need to create one method inside service. So after this we can modify it to delete. So this is the delete inventory, and here id we are passing, which is of type number, and here we are going to use the delete HTTP method returning the inventory object. Now here we are just passing this input id, which is it here we are passing for deletion, and we do not need to pass any data. That's it, we can save it. Now this is the delete inventory. We need to give a call from our ts file it here. So we can call this dot inventory service dot, we can call delete inventory, and here we can pass the id, and we can call subscribe, and here we can use, so this is the data we can use. So here we can use like this dot our inventory service, no, this dot our inventory is object, this is our actual object. Now here we can iterate on these inventories, and we can call filter, and here we can say atom dot id is not equal to passed id. That means we have deleted this line and this id from the original inventory list. That's it. Next, like as we have deleted this record, now we need to call our, like, we need to call window dot reload, so that we do not need to refresh it. Window dot location dot reload. Here now here we can call the confirmation, like here we can use confirm, like window dot, we can call confirm, and here we can use are you sure you want to delete, and here we can use if we have confirmed to delete, then only we are going to delete this. So we can put this logic inside this if condition. That means we have confirmed on delete button, then only it will delete the record. Here we need to complete the double quote. Seems good, we can save it. Fine. Now let us check our delete functionality from here. Let's say if we want to delete this fourth record, now once we click on delete, it will ask for the confirmation. Once we click on OK button, we can see the record is deleted successfully. Now let us cross check into the database just by refreshing the data. Now we have two records. which is as expected because third one we have just deleted. With this, all our CRUD functionality is working fine. Let us implement our search filter or searching functionality. So for that we need to add few more records. Let us add that. Now here we can add, we have added laptop and desk lamp. Next we can add wireless mouse, and category we can say electronics. Price we can say somewhere $75, and we can add it. Now we can add it from here. Okay, now next thing we can add headphones. Category we can say it's an electronics again, and here for price we can say $50, and we can add. Now here, okay, office chair we can add, which is comes under furniture, and price we can say $125. Next we can add coffee maker, which comes under appliances, and here we can use $150 as a price. So we have added 6-7 records. Let us add one more record, like let's say it's a printer paper, it's office supplies, and price we can say $70 somewhere. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. We can add one more entry for, let's say, for Samsung, and category we can say washing, and price we can say $250. Fine. So we have enough record. Now we can implement our search functionality and test that. Now here this is our search filter. Now here we can add one filter for this, and we can, once we input any text, we need to call this function, and we can name this function, like we can say search inventory, and here we can pass the filter dot value. So whatever text we enter, that we pass as a value, and we need to define one constant function for this one. It here, like this is the search inventory, and for this we have some input which is of type any, because we have number or string categories of fields. Now here, so we are going to filter the original list. Now we have this original list which will hold our data. Now similar way we need to prepare one more list which will hold the filtered inventories. Okay, fine. And for this we will, whatever the final list we will get, we can use as a filtered inventories. For this we are going to iterate on the original inventories, and we can call the filter, and we can say atom dot, like we can say input dot, sorry, atom dot name we can say dot to lowercase, and for this we can call includes, and here we can use this input dot to lowercase. So this is for name. If the name is matching, then it will filter according to name. Next, similar way we need to add for category, and this is the input. Similar way we need to add for price. Let's say this is for price. Now price is a number, so we can use toString, and that includes here we can use input is enough because this is the number for price. Now we have filtered the original list, and we have successfully added the resulted list into this filtered inventories. Now we need to populate the data source so that it will show on the screen. Now we can copy our data source. So this line we can copy as is, and here we can prepare, and here instead of data we can use this filtered data, and we can save it. Now let us check for our search functionality how it works. Now these are some entries. Now let us search for laptop. Seems good. Now let us search for printer and wireless mobile. Okay. Now the electronics category we can search for furniture and office. Okay. Seems good. The filter is working fine. Now next thing what we can do, let us implement the sorting functionality on this table headers. So for that we need to go to Angular material table once again, and here we can check for the sorting section it here. Now this is the sorting section, and here we can view code, and for table we can copy this and add, sorry, for this table we can copy this match sort and add to our table level. Next, like for every header we need to add this match sort header. We can copy it and add to, this is for inventory header, inventory ID, this is for name, and this is for category, and this is for price, and we can save it. Next, like we can go to our TS file, and here we need to copy this view child and add to our TS file. Now after this we can add it here, we can add this, and for this we need to add import, like for match sort we need to add import, and for view child as well. Now for this we can use any. Now for this match sort we need to add one more import, like match sort module. We need to use this, and this we can copy and add into our import list it here, and we can save it so that we can make use of that. The next thing we need to do, like we need to initialize our data source with sort. So let us do this. So this is our ng unit. Now here we need to initialize our data source with this sorting functionality. Fine. Now let us see how it works. Now this is for ID, this is in descending and ascending, this is for name, and this is for category. Seems good, it is working. Now next thing, this is about the sorting based on column. Now finally we can implement our pagination. For that, once again we can go to the pagination section, which is it here. Now here we can view code from here, and here after the table we can see this is the paginator part. We can copy and go to our home page table. So here our table ends. After that, if we want, we can add one line break, or we can simply add it here below the table, and we can save it. Next, like we can go to our TS file, and here we can copy this view child for mat paginator, and here we can add that below this view child. And we need to add import for this one, mat paginator, and here we can use any. And similar way, for this mat paginator, we need to add like mat paginator module. We need to copy and add it into the import list, and we can save it. Now one final step, like we need to initialize our data source with the paginator so that it will work. Now this is our ng up to few unit. We can add the initialize our data source with this paginator. Seems good. Now initially it is showing the 5 records per page. Now let us change that, because we have less number of records. We can make it 4, like 8, and this is 12, and we can save it. Now we can see our pagination is applied. Now per page it is showing 4 records. Seems good. Now here once we click on next page, it will take us to the next page, and right now we have 4 records, hence it is showing it is the last page. As we are on the last page, the next page and last page is disabled, which is as expected. Similar way, once we click on previous page, it will take us to the previous 4 records, and this is our first page. And we can control the number of entries, number of atoms per page from here. We can show 8 records per page or 4 records per page from here. So with this, like we are done with all our searching, sorting, pagination, including the CRUD operations. I hope you must have enjoyed this video, and I will request you all, so please do not forget to like, subscribe and share, and please do pass your valuable comments and feedback. So thank you so much for watching this. Please stay updated and keep watching my next videos.